Alright, Claude Cowork. This is crazy. This is the consumer facing Claude Code, and this video is aimed at trying to get the mental framework of a consumer who's just starting out with ChatGPT, and getting them to the level of Claude Code. And this is the gateway, is this Claude Cowork that was released yesterday, or announced the release of yesterday. Here's my video script here, and I'm just going to fly through. But most people, consumers, have a ChatGPT account. Now, what percent of ChatGPT owners who pay the Pro plan, or the Plus plan rather, the $20 a month, what percent of them knows that OpenAI owns ChatGPT? That's the operating company. And then what percentage of those people know the comparables to, Google is to Gemini, as OpenAI is to ChatGPT, as Anthropic is to Claude, and so on, as as you go on and on. So people are in this inference query level, and right, it's the next step from. Some people are not here, but I'd say most people are here. And it makes sense. They went from Google for these knowledge work and research tasks to, a better version, the LLM, right? LLM. Large language model, right? A technology from Transformers. What does GPT stand for? Generated Pre-trained Transformers. Something like that. And I'm just, how do we funnel all this down and just to get the mental framework? So if you don't know that, you need to kind of get a framework of that. So, and then what percent of people actually have connected integrations, ChatGPT integrations, the MCPs of your ChatGPT, which is like toggleable with the little plus here. How many people add this context, have added, sources, have come and explore apps and made the connections? How many people, right? They need to connect their Gmail. They need to connect their calendar. These are just quick wins, right? Quick wins. Now, what Claude Cowork is, it was built on top of, or derived from Claude Code, which is an agentic framework utilizing Anthropic's best models, Opus 4.5. And so what the benefit of a, not even that, but an IDE of Cursor, before you even get into the terminal stuff. So let's dial it back from Claude Code. That's where we'll end up at here, the end of the framework. But then we go to Cursor, which I run Claude Code in the terminal of Cursor of the IDE. Which you don't have to do. You could just go up here and you could type in terminal, and you could, as a CLI, you could run it right there. But the point is, a cursor has the same chat interface, right? Same chat interface, but what you can do is give it some sort of authority over your system, right? Over your computer, your desktop. And this Cowork does the same thing, but now in a more friendly way, of just a desktop app, right? It's not as intimidating as, here's an IDE, right? Here's Cursor. You open it up, you immediately see a bajillion files, right, and you see code, um, that's spooky. I don't care what anyone says. And just because you have the chat interface over here, this still looks very spooky. All right, fine. Is it? No, not really. Not at all. Um, but it's the ability to open up on whatever folder of your device, and then it populates here all the subfolders. Here's the working folder, and here's all the subfolders underneath it, the files in the subfolders. So that's an IDE. But why Claude Cowork is so huge is you fire it up, you come in, and you're going to be able to use this same chat interface, right, that people are used to in ChatGPT, they're used to in whatever LLM they use. But now they can have the same benefits of a cursor and say, let's go back over here. We'll go to X. Look at this. Please help organize my desktop. And it goes, cleans it up real nice. Because it's the first time that you're running it in a virtual environment, right, which is your computer, rather than a strictly web cloud-based inference level of ChatGPT. So, give this a download. If you're stuck on ChatGPT, you're like, no way I'm ever leaving, well, then make sure you have all your integrations done so you can get a smidge of this, right? So, and then I challenge you to go one step further. If you're like, I'm ChatGPT, I'm not doing this co-work, I don't see the benefits, okay, I don't need to really keep stuff on my desktop pretty clean. It's not about that. It's about making new files, telling it to be able to scrape the web and put it in these files, right, of subfolders and subfolders, and all that being context for your goal for your projects, right? So my challenge to you, if you're Team OpenAI, you're Team ChatGPT, you're never gonna leave, or Grok or whatever, and you're never gonna leave, fine, but there's these projects in ChatGPT, and I would invite you right here. See, I'd invite you to make some not GPTs, make some projects. It's simple. You just click this new project. I have a lot. I still pay for ChatGPT. I think it's good for searching the web. I think it's still can parse the internet really, really well, but the cap every month I think about canceling though. So make these. Make whatever folders are your life. It might not be that many. It might be a couple. My challenge to you is to come in here, click the three dots, move to project. Every week, every month, put it in your calendar. And if you don't own your calendar, if you don't block your time, if you don't set up reoccurring tasks, it's areas for growth, right? But you move it to whatever, and then, or archive it, right? Sorry, I got flies buzzing around. But pretty soon here, I have to do this tomorrow, but pretty soon here, this will be cleaned out. And what do you get from this? All right, get insight into how sweeping the use for your LLMs are, amount of deep work, random inquiries. You get to just understand and review rather than a fleeting chat message that, you have a million bajillion of these, and, set a weekend to go through all of them, right? Go through all of them, categorize all of them. You can delete them after, but just understand how you're using everything and how that's evolved over time. You say, oh, I've been using it for a year and a half, I have way too many chats, it's going to take too long. Good. You can see how that's progressed through your time and understanding the capabilities, right? All of us can, and it's valuable. But obviously that sounds tedious, but it is, but you do it, and it's worth it. And the second part of the challenge is, after a month or two of doing this, every week you clean it up. The first time sucks, but you clean it up every week, you fly by it in 5-10 minutes. Sometimes you'll revisit things, it's good refresh. But after a couple months of doing this, I want you to have this Claude Cowork on your mind and having the ability to not just have these fleeting messages that you have to organize, but that context you can build into your system, where you can call upon it at any given time. Don't need connection to the internet to review projects and clean stuff up. Well, that's not entirely true, but be able to go in and just have better digital hygiene, right? So basically, the gap between the model, Claude's Opus 4.5, because Claude Code couldn't work, Claude Cowork couldn't work. Um, any chat thing, it's all the model at the end of the day. And these are just great wrappers, UI to harness the power of the model. But one thing you'll find after a little bit of time of using Claude Cowork is the gap between the power of the model and you is going to be the smallest it's ever been. And there's going to be a lot of reflection. I wrote down here. There's going to be a lot of reflection this time period on your time's ROI, organization between your goals and tasks, task items to complete those goals, and then just your overall digital and project hygiene. That's the best way I could kind of articulate. But, it's just going to be night and day. And if you're at the ChatGPT level and haven't done any integrations, cut it off right there. Cut this video. That's plenty of information to get you going, and hopefully you make a commitment to do that for yourself. Say you do have MCPs and integrations configured. This last part's for you. I wrote down, then and only then, the voyage into the terror-inducing IDE cursor and terminal, Claude Code, can begin. Lastly, you realize that the learning curve, even for Claude Code, is like that of the SpongeBob episode where the scary, forgot the name, I should have looked it up. I think I remember the name, but I don't want to say it in case that's wrong. The scary dude who ends up being totally harmless, and it's not that bad. And at the end of the day, it's all the chat interface. You open up your IDE, you open up the terminal. Is there a learning curve to understand what certain files and stuff means when you want to build your own UI front end or your own app idea, or any sort of automated kind of analysis, parsing, replacing your Excel macros? That's how I got into all this. You realize that it's not that crazy. That learning curve is well worth, and it's exciting and it's cool. But yeah, that's gonna wrap this up. Claude Cowork came out yesterday, and just wanted to give my 2 cents and kind of frame it in terms of where I was a year and change ago. Kind of end of 2024, and just the progress I've been able to do with having an open mind, at least. So there you go, and I think there's going to be a lot of benefits. And sound off if any questions. Would love to help in whatever way I can. Okay.